to bring us to Viviana first, talk about Classic Community Action.
Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Viviana Matthews, as I mentioned before. And Classic Community Action, it's a non-profit organization that helps people in need in Clatsop County. So we have many different programs, but what I always tell everyone is that we have two different departments. The homeless prevention program, we prevent a lot of homelessness here in Clatsop County with our many different services such as rental assistance, housing program, energy assistance. And the other section of what we do is a rapid rehousing program, which we help homeless individuals and families here in Clatsop County with our services too. Last year, we helped about 35% of the population of Clatsop County with over $3 million with our housing programs, our food programs, and energy assistance, and so on. So I would like to introduce Jerome Stegman. He is a new addition to Clatsop Community Action to help us with our houseless and homeless programs that we have at CCA. So thank you.
Thank you for the lovely welcome. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the lovely introduction. Really excited to be here and be part of this lovely team and this wonderful event today. As Viviana was mentioning, I'm really just getting to know everybody, and I'm here to work with the Homeless Liaison Team and our Community Resource Desk, which are both programs that try to bring access to all the things we do at Clatsop Community Action out into the community, to people in medical facilities, hopefully at the college, and out on the street. I know that the business community has a lot of issues and hot feelings around homelessness, as we're experiencing pretty intense time with that. That's not going to change quickly, unfortunately. But we have a lot of wonderful resources to offer. We're not so much of a response team, but we're a great resource team, and I would love to make connections with anybody here who wants to talk about that a little more deeply. And we're really excited to be working with the community and helping people find more stability. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Have a round of applause for our friends. We intersect with Classic Community Action almost daily at the Chamber with the things that we do, with the services that are provided to our community. That number, 35% of Clatsop County having access to your services in some way, is both shocking and really, really heartwarming to know that there is an organization that has that kind of ability to help in our community. So thank you for all the work that you do. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I just want to thank our panelists for being here today. Hopefully we have a nice, robust discussion around kind of the state of employment, not just nationwide, but bringing it here to focus on Clatsop County and what that means for our businesses and those that are hiring and those that are looking to hire. So hopefully it's a good discussion. If anybody has any questions, we're going to have a little time at the end for your Q&A. So also want to remind you there is an employment handout that we'll discuss here in just a moment. So if you haven't got a copy, they're laying around on those barrels. But we're going to start off today by introducing our panel. I'm going to have everybody kind of go down. You're going to have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your services and programs, and then we'll get into the questions for the panel. So I'm going to start with Kevin.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Leahy, Executive Director of CEDAR, which is Clatsop County's Economic Development Organization, and also our Clatsop Community College Small Business Development Center and our Clatsop Works paid internship program. So kind of chunking through those three, I'll start with the Small Business Development Center. We're part of Clatsop Community College. We have been since the 80s. We're part of a statewide network, a national network. We provide free and confidential advising to businesses of all sizes. We also provide workforce training to managers and owners. We have a very robust schedule of workshops we do throughout the year, and we're very proud of that. We have a great team. We have Jessica Newpollum, who is our Associate Director, We have Meyer Freeman, who is our program development specialist. Tammy Lambert is our executive assistant. And we have Ian Reed. I could go on and on. We've added some new team members, but we have a small business management program. That's a 9-month program that we have businesses that enroll in. But for today's purposes, we do a lot of training on how to hire and also how to do like an employee handbook and how to work with retention. And so then Cedar, being the county's economic development organization, we work very closely with the cities, with the county, with the state of Oregon, with the federal government. We work very hard. We were front and center with the Paycheck Protection Plan programs and the EIDL loans, all those things this past couple of years. Many of you took advantage of. Very proud to say that. And then our Classic Works program, that is the paid internship program. That is the summer program that we have every year. We're going to year 5 now. We work with the 5 county high schools and Classic Community College. And what we do is we work with our local employers. Our employers have always been very, very supportive of the program. They hire the students for the summer, but we're expanding it now for year-round, for job shadowing, opportunities for employers to work with students. So this is something I'll talk more about if I have the opportunity today. So thank you for being part of the panel today. Thank you, Scott.
Hello, I'm Debbie Newton with WorkSource Oregon Employment Department, and basically we have our services that we offer for employers are to help you get recruitment job seekers. And how we can do that, and I know it's kind of tough times right now, but we have Facebook pages that we can post your jobs on. We have LinkedIn's, and now that when you file for unemployment now, they are making it a requirement that everybody that files for unemployment comes into our WorkSource office and registers with us. So we are getting a job applicant pool back up. So we also help with, we have a lot of partners in our WorkSource office, which it's WIOA, which is Workforce Investment Opportunity Act. They help with on-the-job training, like if you have a candidate that isn't quite up to par like you want them to be, they can be in their program and do on-the-job training where they pay 50% of the income while you train that person to work. They help pay 50% of the job seeker's income. I'm trying to think of what else on that. We also have we have a STEP program that we work with DHS, people that are on the SNAP program, and they come in and they get one-on-one counseling, they get support services for interview clothing, we help them with interviews, if a job seeker comes in and needs a resume, we will help them with the resume and we'll actually type it up for them and print it out to where they have a really nice resume. We do customized recruitments for businesses too, to where if you have a job opening and you want us to look and get you a good candidate, we can go through our job pool and we can take the resumes and do everything. I can come out to your job site to see like what kind of job it is. Also, when you do list with us, a lot of employers don't know this, but when you list with us through iMatch Skills, you can go in to your account, iMatch Skills account, and you can search for job seekers too. You can run a match and you can contact those people and you can give them a call to see if they're interested in working, or you can see who has clicked on your job listing. And I can show you how you can do that too. I can either come out to your office or I can do it over the phone once you get a account with iMatch Skills and list with us. So basically that's what we do. And we're just here to help businesses and job seekers get employment. Thank you.
Good morning again. I'm Chuck Huber, Program Director for Northwest Community Alliance. As some of you know, we've got some small group employment. We might even clean some of your windows of your businesses around town. You've seen some of the individuals we support bopping around. We have janitorial crew and yard crew. our number one goal is everyone that we support, we want them to have a job out in the community. And then so we rely on rehabilitation services very heavily to get people out and get jobs in the community. So that's basically it.
Good morning, my name is Kai Webb. I'm with Bridge City Mentors. I'm a job developer with them. And I want you to think of us as kind of like a free matchmaking service. We find, well, through VR, we work closely with vocational rehab, and we work with people with disabilities, veterans, seniors, displaced parents. And through an assessment process, we basically find you guys the most motivated, reliable, and dependable people that we have. And we, through networking, and hopefully we already know what you guys are looking for as employers, we place people at your agency or establishment. After we place them there, we offer job coaching directly or indirectly, depending on your establishment. And we help people get comfortable in your environment and take the pressure off of you guys. We know that not everybody has experience hiring people with disabilities or other high-risk communities. And so we make that easy for you guys to do that and take some of the pressure off, help with the stigma. And we also assist in work opportunity tax credit for you guys. And yeah, we're happy to be here. We started out in Portland, and we heard that VR needed some assistance with job developers. So we actually moved, didn't move completely, but we just extended our services out to here. And so far, we are loving it, and we're loving to get to know the community and all of you. And we hope to continue to network and make relationships so that we can find you guys some amazing and reliable people to work for your companies. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Amy with ESS. I'm an area manager. We are recruiting, managing substitutes with local school districts. We're also partnered with over 800 school districts nationwide, and we support over 1.5 million students. So we hire locally. We are partnered with Seaside, Warrenton, Hammond, Astoria, and Napa in Clatsop County. So we hire for all the substitutes in the local school district. We hire for both licensed positions, which would place applicants in as a substitute teacher. We also hire for classified positions, which are any position in the school. So janitorial, custodians, security, educational assistants, food services, just a variety of different positions that we have available. We are able to hire college students. They're great because we have a very flexible schedule. A benefit of working as a substitute is the flexibility of a schedule. You can kind of pick and choose when you want to work. We hire a lot of parents. They want to support their students in the school that their students are at. A lot of grandparents, a lot of retirees. So we're excited to be in Clatsop County. All the school districts work really well together to support all of our students locally.
My name is Kim Dewar. I'm with Total Employment and Management Team. We're an employment service provider. We have 7 locations. 6 are in Washington. Our headquarters is in Moses Lake. And I'm the branch manager here, and my territory goes from Clatskanie down to Newport. So what we do is we partner with businesses to provide them. We do a lot of administrative, a lot of clerical placements. We do have general laborers. We do direct hire. We do temp. We do seasonal. So some of you that I see out here are our customers. A lot of our placements go for permanent employment. So we handle a lot of the onboarding and the screening processes.
Hi there, good morning again. My name is Jen Munson. I'm a vocational rehabilitation counselor with the state of Oregon. And you heard that right. So it's the state of Oregon, your tax dollars support our program. So check out some of these services. So primarily vocational rehabilitation works with individuals who have qualifying disabilities. You may wonder, what does that even mean? What's a qualifying disability? A qualifying disability is a disability that manifests in a number of diagnoses that make employment acquisition difficult for the job seeker, as well as retention. And that constellation, that disability constellation, can look so different from person to person. A lot of folks don't consider disability as a spectrum. We're all on the spectrum. So lots of times we might see employers who assume our candidates have mobility-related issues, and so they think of a person in a wheelchair. Or they might think of someone in active mental health crisis. Nothing could be further from the truth, and I'm happy to tell you more about that. In terms of the services that Voc Rehab provides employers, primarily we look at hiring incentives for you. And Kai, with Bridge City Mentors, helps us with some of that kind of boots on the ground appeal to employers. In terms of what I do, I provide a lot of career exploration for our candidates, as well as career counseling, work trials, cost-free work trials for you folks, for employers, as well as all the way up through job placement and retention. I brought a couple of handouts here, including an article that the Daily Astoria wrote for us about one of our job seekers, as well as some more information about our program. But I want to thank Scott for putting together this panel. It's really very forward-thinking. We hope we can help you employers out today.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you all our panelists for your introductions today and for being here. So what kind of spurred this conversation was as I was out meeting my new members as I recently joined the chamber. One of the biggest issues that we've been facing has been employment. For instance, we were talking with Matt here this morning. It's hard for him to keep folks once they're hired. They've been off for so long. You know, it's just they don't have the skills or the mindset or that whatever is needed to stay on the job. So that's kind of what spurred this conversation. And then I started doing some research because there's a lot of stuff going around on the internet telling us what's going on, but really what is the bigger picture? So according to the U.S. Bureau of Statistics, or National Labor Statistics, the highest vacancies are in healthcare, accommodations, food service, and education. And we see the highest quit rates in the last 2 months. We've seen in August of 2021, we saw 4 million or 2.9% of the workforce drop out of the workforce. And then the next month we saw 4.4 million or 3% drop out. So that has a lot to do with turnover, especially among those in the 30 to 45 age range, which corresponds with mid-career shifts. And to some extent, it's because employers are concerned that this age group is a risky hire because of remote training or lack of experience coming into new positions. And those are assumed issues. Those are not actually have been researched. So, and that the pandemic delayed or kept them in that role that they were not happy with. But now they've kind of reached a breaking point, and some things have been changing. And so the highest turnover in those industries have been in tech and healthcare. So what I want to do here is bring the conversation to Clatsop County. And so I'm going to start with Kevin. And Kevin, can you tell me, are those numbers true here for Clatsop County? And what is the current state of employment for our county? From the employer's perspective.
Is my outside voice okay? Thanks, Ed. Well, the numbers are true. The tech part, we're not really in tech headquarters like Washington counties, for example. But a combination, Scott did mention in education, the turnover is very, very high. I look at it from the employer's perspective, of course, and it's been very, very difficult to hire. And, you know, some of these are very basic things. We know that working with, in our SBDC, we work with over 250 businesses every year here in Clatsop County, small and large. And at the end of the day, you have to treat your employees with respect. And I know that goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway because it happens time and time again where you have an employee that you hire that's in a toxic environment, they don't feel welcomed. And this is, our unemployment, Debbie put out on the tables, our unemployment rate is very, very low here. It's at 4.3% in Clatsop County. So I would say from an employer's perspective, they want to be bringing people that have a great attitude, but also feel supported. And I think about our Clatsop Works program, our paid internship program for our high school students and college students. And when we say to the employers, what do you want? What's the number one thing you want an employee to have? They said, to show up on time, to have a great attitude, and be willing to learn. And again, it's so critical, and it's a two-way street. So yes, the numbers that Scott quoted are true. Take away the tech, the accommodations. We know that we've had leisure and hospitality. We've been it's been awful the last couple of years because of all the COVID with closures, etc. You don't know if you're going to be working or not working, etc. And I know one thing to mention also that I think we'll be discussing later also is on employee retention. How do these employers keep their employees? Well, they keep them in the lean times, and then Debbie can talk a little bit about the work share program as an assist with that, and so that they know that they're going to have a job, that they're going to have regular hours, and that they feel supported. So that's okay.
I have a question.
Thank you, Kevin.
Sorry, are we allowed to ask a question?
We're going to have Q&A here in just a little bit, so please hold that question for about 15 more minutes, and we will definitely be going to questions. So I just want to give Debbie to talk a little bit about that from the employee perspective, and what the current state is for those folks.
For the employee, I would say that people want to change. They don't want to go back to their 9-to-5 minimal wage jobs, especially once they have been collecting more on unemployment when the pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit in 2020, only 47% of the people were only making $15 an hour. So most people were making like $12.75 minimum wage, and they just don't want to do that now. We're seeing a lot of people coming in and wanting to go back to training, wanting to get better skills so they can get better paying jobs. With our SNAP program, we can help them with, like if they do get a job, once they did get a job, we can help them continue working that job through like clothing if they need uniforms and stuff like that. Most people seem willing to want to get out there and work, but they want to be treated better than they were being treated before the pandemic hit. They want, benefits, and they want higher pay. That's what I'm saying.
Don't we all? So, and I would like to add from the education perspective, if you're seeing some unique things on that side as well, Amy.
I think in the education field, where our challenges are most that the risk of staff coming in. Some of them don't want the risk with COVID, the unpredictability of what the education future is going to look like, whether they're going to be in person or remote learning. There's been some challenges technology-wise that people aren't comfortable teaching remotely or being in a classroom that close with students. Some of our other challenges are pay, as Debbie had mentioned. They want to be. There's been increases in our classified positions, as well as the state has increased their per diem for our licensed teachers. So we're trying to mitigate that, but it's been very challenging, as well as a lot of our substitutes are parents. And if their student has to be quarantined, then our staff has to be quarantined. And that makes it very challenging for stability and consistency in a classroom.
Thank you. And does anybody have anything else to add to what you're seeing as far as the state is concerned overall?
Yes, thank you so much. One of the assumptions that I'm seeing a lot from employers is, oh, people don't want to work anymore. They made more on entitlement programs, and we're not going to be able to incentivize employees to return to work. And I don't think that's the case. I think we're seeing a lot more a self-aware workforce that have higher expectations of employers. So retention will be difficult. But the good news is there are programs like mine and Kai's and so many of us here that can make this workforce shortage a lot easier for you to withstand. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen. That's actually a perfect segue to the next question. Is we keep hearing that once the enhanced unemployment benefits ran out, that we would see an influx of new applicants, but we're not seeing that to be the case. So I'm going to start with Kim. Kim, can you talk a little bit about what that means, and are there things that we're not getting as far as like now that folks don't have those benefits, why is it they're not coming back to the workforce?
Well, not to contradict that, but we have seen an increase. We had a 75% increase in applicants in the month of November. October, November, we were very busy. We went from crickets, nobody coming in, to almost a dozen a day. Some of the barriers we're seeing is that in the time frame of COVID and the isolation, they do not have the proper identifications for the I-9 process. They've expired. All the offices haven't opened yet. Social Security's not open yet. If you need a replacement card, you have to mail your original ID. That feels off to people, not a copy. So we've had to try to, in looking at the I-9 compliance, because we are a compliant company, we have had to look at some other avenues, like voters registration is a valid ID. You can get a voter's registration quicker than a Social Security card. And it's renewing, it's working with the Department of Motor Vehicles for the state IDs. So we do assist a lot of our applicants in getting the proper IDs. One of the other barriers is they're not coming back, like it was earlier stated, for $12.75 an hour. When you have a local fast food that's 15, nobody's gonna come below 15, they're just not. And they don't wanna work in some of the industries that they previously worked in, that are not, they're not as comfortable, the conditions. They don't wanna work in those for $14 an hour anymore. So we do have to do a better job of, which is, increases our business costs, but we do have to do a better job of that.
Thank you for expanding on that. Kevin?
I'd say the elephant in the room here is childcare. We are all working and dealing with that, many of you as parents and grandparents, etc. And how do we support our parents? We're working through programs right now. I'm part of a countywide task force that's trying to find a solution to this very complex issue. We know that on the federal government side, there are incentives, percentages that go back to the parents, etc. But I would say that's also, when you look at the cost of daycare for 1 or 2 or 3 children, and then the decision about going back to work or not, $12.75, $15 an hour, and you look at the cost of full-time childcare, it's a huge impediment. And again, we're all trying to work through it, but it's a big, big issue.
And Debbie? Debbie, do you have anything to add to that as far? No? Okay. I gave him assignments. Well, thank you, Kevin. I'm glad you expanded on that. I was going to ask about childcare if you didn't mention it, but there's also other populations that have been affected. And Chuck, can you talk a little bit about some of our disabled folks that are?
Yeah, we can do a tag team here, because Venture's really involved over here. And actually, before COVID, we were very involved in here. And actually, as an organization, we almost had to shut down because of all the mandates and different things. And individuals didn't want to work and couldn't work, and health reasons. And our organization is actually in the healthcare field. So we've kind of struggled a little bit, and we're just coming back around. And even with individuals that we support, kind of push back a little bit. And some individuals, like say we had to shut our crews down, so after not working for a year or so, they weren't real keen on working, just period. Got real comfortable with that, and I understand that too. But we are turning a corner, and there are a lot of good people out there looking for jobs right now.
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, I think that people have adapted. We've been at this for over 1.5 years now, and people have gotten creative in their households. They're able to spend time with their families. They're able to provide their own childcare, looking after their own children. And they don't want to go back to what they were doing before. They have got to spend this time with their families. And so they've started their own businesses. They're doing things like DoorDash. They're making their own schedules, living a more flexible life than they were. The previous 9 to 5, working with inflexible employers is just not something that people are willing to go back to at this time. They've got this sense of freedom and agency over their own lives, and they are wanting to stick with that. And they're really hoping that when they do go back, that people will be more flexible with their lives, especially in this area since childcare is such a problem. Another thing that we have to look at is healthcare in general. A lot of our clients have healthcare needs, and they have free healthcare right now or low-cost healthcare, and if they get a job, they lose that because they're making a certain amount of income. And so another thing that people are looking at right now is if I go to this job 9 to 5 full time, am I going to get healthcare? Is it going to cost me money that I don't have? Is this going to put me into debt? So that's a big thing. Is they want some flexibility back when they go back to work in a workplace.
Anybody else have any comments on that question? Excellent. So one of the things that we're seeing, and I'm glad you mentioned a little bit of this, is some of the labor statistics. We saw, in some senses, we had a mass retirement as well this last year. So whereas we would normally see about 1 million folks retire, and this is according to the Wall Street Journal, we saw about 2.5 million folks retire in the last year. So that's seen an effect on some of the openings and jobs. So folks that would normally, I think, would be in lower positions have moved up, but there's really not anybody to fill those positions that come after that. So you're still looking for those positions as well. And according to some labor statistics, we have a job opening for one employee for every 1.2 job openings. So what does that mean for our local employers, and how can they get creative using you folks in order to fill some of these positions? And I'll go ahead and I'll start with Kim, and then go to Jen.
Well, that is very much our business. We get called particularly in the hospitality industry and in some other frontline industries like your food service industry, your canneries. Again, those are harder positions to fill. They're not positions that we have to encourage our employers to be kind. We've all got to be a little more flexible. We have to be a bit more kind because we all know, unfortunately, quite often the customers are not.
Yeah.
So, and it's just encouraging our folks. We do a lot of incentives. We do a lot of freebie Fridays of just dropping off, just hearing from us, hey, we appreciate you. Keep up the good work. We've had to be a little more flexible so that they could make other appointments, financial incentives, and then throw in different vaccine mandates for different industries. That has created challenges as well, and how we as a company incentivize our workforce to proceed in something that could be controversial to them.
Well said, yes. So one of the things that I've noticed is that PR has a pretty, well, we could stand to broaden our footprint in the community. It's a very small government program, and our branding suffers for that reason. So what I would say around creative approaches to recruitment, this is a season of inquiry. We are here for you. These are all employer resources that are here to answer your questions. No question is insignificant. So in terms of creative adaptation, it's about relationship building. This is why I try to attend as many chamber events as I can. And then understanding that there are numerous programs, once again, to incentivize the hiring of folks with disabilities, not just mine. Also the state's preferred worker program, which was here, I believe, last chamber breakfast. So again, we're here for you, and please forward your questions to us.
Thank you, Jen. I also want to mention Tracy Stahlberg, who's here from the Self-Sufficiency Program, who also works to get folks jobs and get them placement. So Tracy, can you raise your hand, just let folks know you're here, so after we are done with the discussion today, you can also be part of that discussion and helping folks find the folks that they need, but we're glad you're here today. I saw Kevin, did you want to add anything to that conversation? All right. Oh, Debbie.
We also, one thing that is also offered through the employment department is the work share program. And that's a program where if you have to reduce the hours of your employees, it has to be at least 20%, but no more than 40% of the weekly pay, or time, I should say. They get, the work share program, they can be on unemployment and still keep all their benefits and stuff. And it's a program that they actually file for you guys, or for the employers. You just tell them how much they worked, and then they will get paid through work share. It's like an unemployment insurance type of thing.
Thank you, Debbie. And I'm going to have one last question to the panel, and you guys can just kind of raise your hand, and we'll start opening questions for our audience. But how has housing been an issue for you guys? Are you guys all facing housing issues when you're dealing with your employees? Yeah, so housing is still an issue here. So that's one bigger issue that folks are facing. Where did Monica run off to? Ah. She said no. Okay, does anybody? Awesome. Let's ask them.
I'm sitting in your spot, so I'm going to ask a question. And this could be for anybody up there, but could you address the barriers to employment, specifically transportation in our area, public transportation?
We only have one mic, so we'd like to address that issue of transportation.
I can work for that.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Well, I think Jeff Hazen should respond to that. I mean, being the director of our transportation district, so I would turn over to him.
That is a good, and I saw your video the other day. You said, yes, we can, or, yep.
Yes, we at least try. So, we're suffering the same thing. We don't have enough drivers. I've got plenty of funding for public transportation. We did an expansion of service from the HB 2017. We've had to cut all that back because we don't have enough drivers. I can't continually have our drivers work 6 and 7 days a week. We're burning them out and we're losing them. So we're working, I could spend an hour talking about a program I'm working on, but I'm not going to do that yet because it's just not quite ready to release to the public yet. But we're in the same boat.
What kind of qualifications does a person?
Pardon?
What kind of qualifications does a person have to work for you?
They have to have a pulse. When I first was hired in the district 7 years ago, the district required that people have their CDLs, and I go, well, that's stupid. There's plenty of people out there that need to get a job that they don't have a CDL, they don't know how to get one. That's not our number one thing. We'll train anybody on and pay for getting their CDLs. So that's one thing that we do. We want customer service people. We want friendly people that say hi and thank you. That's a big thing for me.
Thank you. One last question.
Actually, I want to
Or comment.
So, I think our bus system is great, and I understand you guys are having issues, but I want to expound on it just a little bit. What we're seeing is we have customers that don't have transportation. They have kids. So now they have to take them and their kids on the bus to the child care provider if they are lucky enough to have one. They have to get off, drop off their kids, wait for the bus to come back around or whatever mode of transportation they have, get back on the bus, get to work, get back on the bus, get to their kids, wait another however long, get back on the bus and eventually get home. And so, the people that have to rely on the bus is nothing against you guys, but it's a real issue that a lot of families are really running into. So trying to find childcare or housing that's on the transportation system routes, it all gets tied together. And so it's a huge issue.
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you to our panelists today for giving us all your wonderful knowledge and information. I know that we're seeing a lot of folks across the board, looking for remote hybrid models, work-life balance, childcare, even some mental health services. And then we also have, folks that are looking for an increase in pay, state bonuses, paid time off, all the stuff that you guys talked about, are really just basically thinking outside the box and being creative in your employment search. So I want to encourage you to access these folks, use their services. In fact, the thing you should take away today is you should be calling each one of these folks and signing up, getting in their system, so that way when the time comes that you do need to hire, or you're working with Kevin and his team to find out how to best reach out for those folks and put together your team. That's what we developed the handout for. That handout is specifically for you folks to easily access those folks that are actually helping you find employees. And then we also have our Cedar and Small Business Development Center information there as well. So when you're getting to the point when you need to access those folks in order to kind of expand your knowledge and search, that is there as well. So that's an easy tool. Of course, we'll be providing all sorts of tools throughout the next year to hopefully help you in whatever you're doing in your business. So again, I want to thank our panelists for being here today and the amazing work you're doing in the community. We really appreciate it. We're glad you're here. And we hope that you'll be able to stick around a little bit in case anybody has any questions afterwards. And Tracy, thank you for being here as well.
I'd like to share something else.
Well, we can have to share it. We're going to wrap and everything up. So we're going to have to do one more wrap and let folks go home today. Unless you... Okay.
Okay, just got a couple more door prizes to give away, but I do want to mention one thing that wasn't mentioned in this conversation, and it's a little bit sort of ethereal, but mission. We've heard a lot about people are not willing to do that for that money. I'm not willing. It's not just about the money, it's about the conditions, right? And so I think one of the things that we need to do as employers is make sure that we are conveying what kind of workplace we have. We're working on that kind of workplace. We want to convey flexibility. So when we say this is a 9-to-5 job, am I flexible in that? Can I have somebody come in at 10 o'clock if they need to drop their kids off? Can I do those things? So it's conveying that flexibility so we can think together about what brings that person on board. But mission is also a big part of that. The reason that people leave their jobs sometimes is not money. Sometimes it's just about the